Hey everybody, welcome back to Benny and Leon. We're back from One Raceway, and today I'm going to take great joy because we're pulling every single piece of frustrating, annoying, weekend killing wiring out of Leon. So before we get into the fun, let's just recap what happened at Wakefield, or One Raceway. Basically, we had the main battery lead that comes down from the firewall through to the starter. Basically shorted out on a piece of metal. It's like through the grommet. There's no grommet, so it was chafing at the firewall, but also further down there's another sort of sharp bit of metal that had rubbed through as well. So multiple shorts in one cable. Also found other shorts in other cables. So yeah, we can go over that as we pull it out. But basically killed our battery, killed the alternator. So that's something else we'll also have to fix is, can I get a regulator to replace the one that's in the alternator? Do we have to buy a whole new alternator? Go down that path as we sort of progress. But yeah, killed our weekend because we end up chasing it. We end up driving between Sydney, Moss Vale Barrel, Goulburn, Canberra. Like, we were all over the show. We tried not to give up. We really did try out all the avenues to keep this thing going for that weekend, but just wasn't to be. Not a massive amount of parts availability down there, and yeah, I guess being a small town as well, they knock off at 12 on a Saturday. Like, there's just a whole bunch of little things where generally in a bigger city you might have a chance, but no, we didn't manage to get it sorted, and quite disappointing because a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of prep goes into going away, and yeah, it was all for nothing in the end. It was all for 8 laps. So I'm a bit devastated. So that's why I've made the call that put up or shut up. It's time to get this wiring out of this car. It's time to sort it out properly, and it's time to never have another wiring issue. Because as far as I'm concerned, things that I like to call infrastructure, your fuel system, electrical system, and like your braking systems, as far as the lines and all sorts of stuff concerned, should never have to mess with that stuff on a weekend. It should just work. So yeah, let's sort out the Achilles heel of this car. Let's get rid of the rat's nest. And let's do a little bit of investigation on these wires as we pull them out to see how chafed they are. And then we'll get into what is the plan going forward. There's a lot of changes I'm going to make in the wiring department to simplify things, which ultimately makes it easy to troubleshoot if you do have an issue. I've actually already drawn up schematics for the entire car in the background. I've done that, probably last year. And always wanted to get to this point, but it's taken that moment of frustration and just colossal waste of money for me to just put up and shut up now. So yeah, we're not going to see this thing fire up until all that wiring's done again. So it'll be what it is. But I think there's about 50 hours worth of work, like about week and a half's worth of work, full time in it. So I've got the next 2 days off. So yeah, I'm gonna at least start pulling it out and then getting the plan together, ordering all the bits, and then we can crack on with the actual wiring probably in some of the coming episodes. Yeah, so fair bit of work to do, but I'm looking forward to it because it's just one of these things, man, just niggles at me. And every time in your car, you don't want to have to think about things that should just be right, and you don't have to manage things. You just want to get in that car, drive it as fast as you can without thinking about, is this going to break? Is that going to fall over? Is that going to short out? Are we going to have a battery fire? Like, I think we got super lucky in the fact that we didn't have a battery fire. It's a lithium battery in the car. It's an SSB, one of those little dudes there. Here we go. So it's oops, get the camera up. SSB Power Sport. Great battery. Lots of cranking current. Awesome for a little rotary, but awesome for a race car, should I say? But yeah, we could have had a fire, and if that had started, it's under the seat. You can't get the battery out. The seat's made of fiberglass. You can just see the Swiss cheese effect line up to having a car burnt to the ground. So we're also going to implement basically a quick release of the battery as well. So it'll be in there nice and tight, but we'll be able to remove it quickly through, you know, quick releases, and cables, which will be able to quick release as well. So if we ever have an issue with the battery, we can get out of the car very quick, because I think at the moment it's a bit of a, for me, it's up there on the risks, and we need to reduce those risks as well. So there'll be a lot of safety sort of engineering that comes into it, a lot of, you know, electrical, electronic sort of engineering stuff. When you're creating a harness from scratch, you need to know what all your loads are, so therefore you can size cables correctly. You need to fuse everything. You know, there's a whole bunch of thought that's required to make it a good solid harness that we won't have issues with going forward. So yeah, over the next few episodes I'll just walk people through it, through my experience, and hopefully it applies to your, you know, your club level racer. You know, these will be all things that everybody can implement in your race car for relatively easy money. I know for some people, you know, electrical stuff is a bit, you know, it's a bit of black magic. You know, just people don't want to mess with it, don't want to touch it, they don't know how to troubleshoot it properly, stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say to anybody who feels like that, then the only way to learn is by doing, and you need to just do it and learn from others, and then at some point you'll have a level of knowledge where it doesn't frighten you anymore, and you're more inclined to have a go at fixing something yourself, and rather than farming off to guys going to charge you $100 an hour to come and look at some sort of fault plus call out fee plus whatever, you know. So yeah, just trying to help out the community. Might get some stuff wrong in some people's eyes, feel free to comment. I'm not bothered about that. I'll do me, you do you. Anyway, let's get into this, because I'm so keen to start pulling this apart. Starting with removing the seats, so we can at least get in there and move around as we need to. Now we have the seats out. I've just gone from rear tail lights, indicators, and we already have our first thing you should never do in any car. These white things here are called Scotch locks. What they do is they have sort of a blade on them, and they sort of lock together, and that blade slices through into the conductor of a cable, and yeah, then you can sort of basically parallel up, or series, I suppose, depending on your load, some wiring. So this guy goes off to the stop light that's sort of up the top here, yeah, like again, just it's so much better to crimp it into a crimp, have it come out. Scotch locks, just they fall apart, don't handle if I can spit it out, they don't handle vibration very well, and just don't use them, they're just shit. Yeah, so I'm going to chop that off. The rest of the harness is okay. There was one little bit here that would have been maybe for the aerial or something. Again, if you're going to use your standard harness and you're going to do something like that, put a piece of heat shrink over it, or tape it down to some, you know, tape it alongside the loom like this, and tape over the crossfoot or something, so that little piece can't short out, because there's still a piece of copper in there, and if it touches something, you know, you could be blowing fuses or doing random shit. And that's the whole point of this whole exercise, is that you don't want random things to happen. You want a controlled electrical system where every load is supplied correctly, it's fused correctly, and it just works correctly. Yeah, I know I'm preaching here, and I'm just trying to spit out the basics, but that's, you know, the fundamentals here is like, don't create problems for yourself by leaving things undone or using crappy materials. Okay, next bit, we're going to pull that wiring through. It goes around and down. Might have to take the rear seat out of it, we'll see. But it goes down, then it goes along through the body on the right hand side, and I think from memory there's a connector underneath the dash you can disconnect, and then that whole rear section is out. So let's move on to that bit. There we go. You better feed it through into here, and then it goes down through the rail on the side. Yeah, but check out over here. So, and here's another example of what not to do. Don't do this shit where you've got you know, multiple ring terminals hanging off studs and things, especially like your main isolator. Create a bus bar, you know, I'll show you later what I mean, but essentially you want one point for all your circuits to come off, one connection from your, you know, basically your fuse or your bus bar to your isolator, and then isolator to battery. So you have one clean cable and not all this bullshit going on where you've got multiple ring terminals and you've tripled up, you know, you've got multiple, like look how big that loom is, because you've got, what is it, 1, 2, 3 plus another two pair, you know. Yeah, loom ends up being this bloody thick because you got to protect every single one of them, when what you should have is just one cable the size of the battery cable running from here back to your bus bar. Overcomplicates things. You're just adding yet another point of failure, along with all of that jazz right there. You know, look at it, absolute nightmare. So anyway, this is quite cathartic. Like I said, it's nice just cutting all this crap out, and yeah, I'll keep crack-lacking with it, but yeah, this just, it's gonna be good, boys. It's gonna be good. I'm keen and happy. That's there, we will keep, because I reckon we can reuse him. We'll see. I'll have to design it so that it fits that. So wiring from the back, here's the power lead, and then the other stuff. So too bad so sad, you go in the bin. We'll keep this little dude. That's the covers on the battery. They were pretty fresh because I got scrutineered and they weren't happy with having tape on it, so they told me to do something else, so I went and did that. Alright, so mother to the land. It's another piece. So more Kabul, and that's not even the start, gents. Okay, I'm going to set up the time lapse and then just get cracking on and start pulling stuff out. I might end up actually pulling out the dash first, or the instruments over there, because there's a lot of wiring that sort of goes up and around. Pulling this guy out, probably able to get that out. I do have a special glove box lid that I'd love to put in this car. We'll see if we can get that done, and we might have to undo roll cage clamps and things. We'll see as we get into it, but let's sort out some of this mess here and get it all freed up. Talk about grounds. Look at this bad unit. So, is it gonna fit? Oh yeah. Oops. So, you see there's a ground there. Screwed into the dash, so not super ideal. Let's see how many grounds are tied into this one location here. And who knows how far the screw goes in. Well, yeah, it goes in fairly far. So what do you reckon happens on the opposite side of that? Do you reckon it rubs on wiring? Because I reckon we'd probably a high chance. So there's 1 ground, 2 grounds, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 grounds attached to that. So that's good, eh? It's, when in doubt, let's ground them all together somewhere. Again, have a ground bus. Have them all come back to a central location, you know. This car a bit different because it's carby and pretty basic, but there is such thing as a, you know, like a battery ground and then signal grounds as well. Haltech actually have a really good, I think it's on their website somewhere, it gives a pretty good explanation on why you need to ground signal grounds in a certain spot, and why you need just normal power grounds in another spot. And it's all to do with noise and things like that for sensors. Pretty basic, but yeah, check it out. And then, like I said before, we've just got random, you know, random circuits teed off of other circuits, you know. So we've got two here, we got one there, this one goes off to be fused, you know. The plot just thickens, don't it? And then over here, it actually must have started off fairly nice, because it does, you know, it does have a relays set up nicely and other bits and pieces. So double throw, single pole, and all that sort of jazz hiding up in there. So I think next what I'm going to do is pull out this panel, which has got one gauge in it, it's a volt gauge, and then all of the switches. That unbolts and pulls out, and I think a lot of that wiring should come with it. So yeah, so yeah, you can just see it's just, there's old loom, so that's original Mazda. I think that goes across to the column, and then you've got all this other shit, you know, again, more scotch locks. And these things, check out this, see these? So they slide onto the spade. Hang on, focus will ya? Yeah, so these slide onto the, like a spade, like on the back of your switch, and give you another point to tee off. Again, it's a shitty idea because it just creates another point where something can fall off. The best is to like just have a crimp that can take both of them. Yeah, it's all about paralleling 12 volts off everything, but the reality is you're just creating another failure point, and the more failure points you have, the more chances shit can go wrong, which has been our life thus far. So yeah, I'm gonna keep pulling these off. Gotta try and rest my camera somewhere, but yeah, good times, boys, good times. And I love a bit of speaker wire. That's always a classy little addition in there as well for your voltmeter. That's yeah, it's good. Love that stuff. Not Kidokals. Just pulling out the gauges and things. Some of it actually had a bit of thought. I think it's just the endless development cycle of this car, adding bits on top of bits on top of bits. Yeah, it just got untidy. So this is probably its, in the aircraft world, we call it midlife upgrade. Yep. There we go. You know what I mean? Like the stacked dash and all that sort of stuff is awesome. We can actually see the original gauges, but look at this. You know, just more of the same stuff as far as crimping things on and just top on top on top. I think the car might actually run better now. It doesn't have all the draw on the 10 horsepower draw from the alternator, run all these circuits. Okie dokie. So yeah, there's the mess that was the wiring essentially, and like I said, look how many connections there are. Look at how many connectors on connectors like these, you know, like so much potential for failure. It was even a pain to pull it out. That's how annoying. It's like its final death throes for pissing me off. But yeah, it was even a pain to get out. So now we've got in here a couple little things. I just got to pull the cluster out, but fresh and clean. And the engine bay, it already looks cleaner, simply because there's not 5,000 miles of wiring and other stuff, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, is what it is. But I was just pulling this one apart because this is the main this is the main cable, and I'll just let me put you there for a sec. This is the one with the cut through it, and I'll just find that cut because I want to show you the actual spot was here. So this is when we were rushing, didn't have time. I basically we heat shrunk it and taped it in an effort to make it all good, but that right there in the main power lead. So can you boys see that? Yep, that was shorting out on the body. Yeah, so that's what ruined our weekend and blew up everything basically. So that can go too. Throw that on the pile. So screw you guys. Oops, hang on, there we go. Yeah, see you later, wiring from hell. There's a new sheriff in town. That'll do it for me for today. Car's now got all the wiring out of it. I think next couple episodes will be planning and then getting on to the first parts of the wiring, which usually starts with battery location, the main battery lead to your starter, the start circuit, and all that sort of basic stuff before you start getting into all the other circuits that need to run. I usually start with start circuit because it's mostly the bigger cables, and you got to work out where the cables run, and then everything else sort of follows suit. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you had a good one. Hope we learned something. Hope you're also happy that the wiring is finally gone. I'm stoked. I don't even want to look at it anymore. I just want to move on with my life and get some mad wiring in this car and then go and win some races. Till next time, thanks and see you later.